Yes, the election is but a couple of days away. And I hope that over the past couple of months, much of the hype that came with the campaign has been debunked. Debunked in terms of having the people of St. Martin understand that this election is a serious election. Yes, unfortunately, it fits into the category of a snap election because it came about when the government at the time decided to dissolve Parliament. And by doing so, elections had to follow. But it all actually started in the month of September of 2019 when the UDSMCP was rudely, or the government of the UDSMCP was rudely interrupted because of the departure of two members of the UD faction, MPs Brownbill and MP Mercelina. And by this taking place, subsequently, a new coalition was formed with the assistance of those two members of parliament. An interim government came into place, and the election was announced for St. Martin. We have heard and seen a lot during the past campaign. Sometimes it slowed down because of the Christmas holidays, the New Year holiday, but nevertheless, a lot of hype was out there. And I need the people of St. Martin to understand that this election is not about the individuals. It is not about what individuals are trying to make you believe that they will do once they get into office. It is not about those individuals who are saying it is their time now. No, it is still the time of the people of St. Martin. Over the past months, as the United Democratic Party, we have stressed on the stability factor, the need to have stability in government to be able to work on behalf of the people. Stability itself does not put bread on the table, so to speak, but a lack of stability can cause us not to have that bread on the table to eat. So stability is important. And when we look at stability, we also have to address the matter of electoral reform. These are issues that, in my opinion, immediately upon assuming office, need to be addressed. It cannot be, like we did in 2018, counting on the commitment of all the persons who were involved. In 2018, we, along with the St. Martin Christian Party, developed a governing program, and on the basis of which we worked very hard for the people of St. Martin. Started it off looking at the reconstruction that was so necessary following the hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017. As I mentioned earlier, this was interrupted. This governing was interrupted, and solely for individual political reasons. That is water under the bridge, and we have to move on. I am looking forward to the election getting behind us, safe, and with a resounding victory for the United Democrats. A victory that will ensure that we can pick up exactly where we left off, and we can then continue the governing of this country in a serious way. We need to carry on with the economic recovery that is so important, not only for the government's finances, but for the people of St. Martin in general. We talk about jobs, and yes, jobs are important, and we hope by the projects that we started, such as the hospital and the airport, to generate more jobs for our people. However, it is not only about the government finances, it is also about that economic recovery that is important for St. Martin in its totality. If we want to talk, which we want to do as the United Democrats, about the social issues facing us, and there are many of those. There are issues that our youth has to deal with, there are issues that our elderly have to deal with, but in order to properly address these social issues, what you need again are committed persons in government, persons understanding what government and governance is all about. So the economy is important. And you can imagine that every time we get into this period of election and campaign, that those who are looking at St. Martin as a potential place to invest are going to be holding back and waiting to see what will come out of the political developments. Again, reason even more so for stability, for seriousness in government, and for the credibility of those who are going out to seek your support. Knowledge and experience are important in these trying times that St. Martin is facing as part of the global community. Sometimes we act as if it is all about us here and the shows that are sometimes put on in the Parliament of St. Martin, forgetting that we are responsible for the management of this country and others are looking at us as St. Martin. We have boasted for years about how well St. Martin has done, and St. Martin is standing at the front in terms of the region in so many areas. Tourism for sure, but you know, while we are sweating the small stuff, others are catching up and seeking to pass St. Martin in terms of that prominent position that we have always occupied. So we got to realize that again, while we are here and fighting amongst ourselves and making everything political, that St. Martin's future is being hindered because of that type of an attitude.
We are midweek and no cruise ships are in our port.
That we take St. Martin further into what the cruise industry can offer us as a destination.
Of St. Martin signed the MOU with Airbnb. Vote for me, Stuart Johnson, because you matter.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
I am here at the Melford Hazel Sport Facility in Soccer Garden, and here you can see that since Hurricane Irma, this facility has not yet been repaired. You can see the damages on the lights. You can see the basketball hoops. You can see that the children cannot use this as the way it's supposed to be used. So the 1 cent per liter gasoline and the 1 cent per liter diesel is what will be used in order to bring this facility back up to par so that our youths, our children can use it the way it was intended. We are here at the Rawulele Sport Complex in Cahill, and we can see that the damages of Hurricane Irma is still visible, and all of it has not yet been repaired. I am here by the St. Peter's Basketball Court by the Rupert Maynard Community Center. Here you can see that this basketball court that is so much needed for the children still need repairs, and you can see the damages of Hurricane Irma still visible. I am Rudolph Samuel, your number 6 candidate on the National Alliance slate. I am asking you for your support and your vote in the upcoming parliamentary elections on January 9th, 2020.
There's also another challenge with the compulsory education law again, where does it have to be your biological child for the child to be part of your home? Does it have to be the child that you are legally responsible for? How do we know for sure that this child didn't, So there are things there, for example, just to make sure that every child in St. Martin gets access to the same quality education. But that's at the lower level. When you go all up to the highest level of education, the tertiary education law, you've been talking about this for years. I started a draft when I left in 2012, when we were thrown out in 2012. We put a concept together for where we think higher education should go. And not just now, not just the University of St. Martin, because what you get is that the University of St. Martin is already created and you have laws that are looked at from, let's say, the Netherlands and Curacao, and they don't fit. The University of St. Martin is a different entity, but it's an entity that is part of a global system of tertiary education. And everywhere in the world it's different. So how are we going to create a law that fits and where the University of St. Martin can fit in, but also future tertiary education institutions? So there are a number of specific things that we can address immediately in education. Language of instruction. You've heard me talk about language of instruction being English in all schools. It sounds crazy because you don't understand what is meant to some people. But the basic premise is if every child in St. Martin is taught all his or her additional subjects in the English language and then learn all the other foreign languages at the right time, because what we do is we teach foreign language at the wrong time. We teach it in secondary school, when in reality foreign languages should be taught at the very early age, which is from kindergarten. And then we make sure that they're mandatory second languages, so like Dutch, like French, I would even say Spanish, right? That every St. Martin child has access to, so that by the time they get to what we call the critical age, which is about 12, 13 years for the average child, every St. Martin child will be pretty much functionally multilingual. If you can do that, then learning all your other subjects throughout your academic career becomes so much easier, and I guarantee you're going to get better performance overall from students in St. Martin. These are things that you can do on a very short-term basis that can automatically improve education, improve the turnout, reduce the dropout, so that as you move forward, you build the curriculum that you're building for the future. Concrete things that can be done, right now within a 4-year period, for example. Yeah?
Now, you talk about I think you touched a little bit about justice and all that.
Yeah.
If you have any
Yeah, no, I will, yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So, what it is that you wanted to actually done in the justice system?
Okay, good question. Well, the question is, how are we going to approach justice? There are a couple of things that I think we can change concretely. What does justice mean to us? Throughout the world, when we speak of justice, one of the basic principles of justice, universal justice, is that a man or an accused is judged in his language by his peers. That's a basic tenet of justice in the world. What are we doing in St. Martin? Just the opposite. Now, if you create legal studies or call it law program, I recently had the opportunity to write a curriculum, a proposed curriculum, just before the hurricane for the law program in St. Martin. Hurricane came, that's history. But I'm saying there is absolutely no legal basis, there is absolutely no logical reason why law studies, for example, is not done in English in St. Martin. If you do that, you will create more St. Martin lawyers, more St. Martin prosecutors, more St. Martin judges. You will give more St. Martin students the opportunity to get involved in the justice chain, but also to be able to participate in meting out justice to their peers. So then you fulfill that one principle that a man has or an accused has a right to be judged in his language and by his peers. That's number one. The other thing that I really want to look at is, what does it mean to us when we talk about giving justice to people that we imprison? Or how do we look at prison? Is it to rehabilitate people, or is it really to penalize them and keep them away from society for the rest of their lives, right? So what are the types of things that we are going to heavily penalize? So let's say non-violent crimes, for example. Do we want to lock a guy away for 20 years for a non-violent crime when you could rehabilitate him within a very short time and give him the proper training and have him reintroduced into the society so that he becomes a productive member of society? You don't want to just lock up, try, guy goes out, does the same thing, you lock him back up again. You know, recidivism that we talk about. If we are serious about, reducing recidivism, we have to look at how our laws are. Are they the right laws for this time and this place? Are they doing justice to our people? Are we making sure that we are going after the right criminals, the ones that are really the ones that are causing harm to society, and making sure that we put them away for a while, but also that we give them the opportunity to come back? Because after you've done your time, after you've served, your punishment for your crime, you should be able to come back into the society, and be able to move on, And so we need to look at the whole system and see how are we dealing with justice, and to make sure that our justice is just.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
To increase the minimum wage with a cost of living adjustment. In the meeting that we had with Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor on December the 24th, we drew the attention of the minister on the issue of indexation of the minimum wages. Minister Pamela Gordon-Carty promised to look into the status of this matter. The last time that the minimum wage was adjusted to the cost of living increase was in January 2016. Minister De Wever, after adjusting in January 2013 the minimum hourly wage from $7.96 to $8.33 guilders, said, "I think that it is important that the minimum hourly wage is indexed annually and that it is adapted to the increased cost of living. By acting accordingly, employees who earn the minimum hourly wage retain their purchasing power." In January 2014 was the second time during his tenure that Minister De Wever indexed the minimum wage. The indexation then moved the hourly minimum wage from $8.33 to $8.56 per hour for all the workers 21 years and older based on a 40 hours work week. In November 2015, the then Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, Raphael Bosman, he increased the minimum wage per January 2016 from $8.56 to $8.83 guilders per hour. And he also said at that time, by adjusting the minimum wage, it guarantees the purchasing power of the population. Since January 2016, no more annual adjustments to maintain the purchasing power of the minimum wage earners took place. In a meeting we had on this matter with Minister Lee last year, he promised to address the issue in the tripartite committee. But he was asked to step down before finalizing the issue. The Wind Rhode Island Chamber of Labor Unions will definitely follow up with the new Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor on the non-indexation of the minimum wages so that these can be corrected as soon as possible. But also we, as Anti-Poverty Platform, will address with the Minister the fact that the minimum wages, even though they will be increased, are still poverty wages, and that research to establish what a household needs not to be in poverty must be conducted to provide a minimum wage limit that keeps the worker and his family out of poverty. Our fourth topic, the new hospital, St. Martin Medical Center, will not curb healthcare costs in St. Martin. On Monday, December the 30th, one day before the end of the year, the St. Martin Medical Center announced in a press release to start construction of the new General Hospital. Director Kees Klarenbeek concluded his press release saying, "With this milestone of starting the construction, we also have access to the Lenders Fund, which enables us to repay the advances for the project made by SZV from 2015 up to 2018. This, he said, is a very good start of the new year. And on behalf of St. Martin Medical Center's management, I would like to wish everyone a safe, healthy, and prosperous 2020. On various occasions, we have made it clear that the St. Martin Medical Center had to look for alternative financing to construct the new hospital. The deal with the lenders is a deal at a very high interest, higher than, for instance, the financing conditions that could be provided by the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Mr. Klarenbeek said that the St. Martin Medical Center will now repay the advances for the project made by SZV from 2015 up to 2018. Calling this a good start of the new year, he did not mention the fact that since 2016, SZV has to pay more for the services of the St. Martin Medical Center without a national decree. Even the increase allowed of 41.8% of the hospital tariffs last year and the new annual increase that will only increase the deficits in the healthcare funds of SZV. How prosperous we can be. Ultimately, the consumers have to pay more for the St. Martin Medical Center services. This was also noted in the editorial of the December 27th in the Daily Herald under the heading, "Time Will Tell." The editor referred to the increase of the hospital tariffs in Curaçao and found the tariff increase rather steep. The editor referred to an article in the Curaçao Chronicle of December the 23rd. The cost per room in the new Curaçao Medical Center is now 1,512 guilders, and no more differentiation in class is applied. In the former Sehos, the Curaçao Hospital, the rates were 340 guilders in the third class, up to 714 guilders in the first class. This means that the Social Insurances Bank in Curaçao has to pay now 4.5 times more for patients with a medical card from government than before to cover the operational costs of the Curaçao Medical Center that are now clearly much higher in the new hospital than before.